Hello, dear listeners. This is your favorite storyteller and hopeless romantic, Gwen Fairfax. You are welcome to my creative heaven where I bring you the best of my imagination, take your mind away from the troubles of the world, and tame your heart with fiction, romance, and drama. This is your first time stopping on this safe space, you are most welcome. I promise that you will love it here. But if you are an oldie but goodie, thank you for your continuous support and love. You are loved and appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Buckle your seatbelts as we take a ride on another amazing episode of your favorite story, Unappreciated Treasure. Enjoy. Chelsea and Hank had a great time at Nana Julia's place. They bid Nana Julia and the others good night as they headed back home. It was finally Monday and Chelsea had to go back to work. That morning, her alarm clock went off at 6 a.m. but Hank turned it off. When Chelsea woke up, it was already 7 o'clock. With a panicking voice, she screamed, "Oh my goodness! I will be late." Did she not hear her alarm going off? These were the questions Chelsea asked herself as she jumped up from the bed. Before she could take a step, Hank's husky voice came from the corner. "Slow down, baby. It's still 7 o'clock. You won't be late." Hank was already awake, showered, and dressed. He was sipping his morning coffee while reading the morning financial news. Chelsea, who looked disheveled, replied, "But Hank, it will take the bus about 30 minutes to get to work since it has many stops." Before Chelsea could take a step into the bathroom, Hank walked up to her and held her hand. He asked her to slow down. Did Chelsea think she was going to continue taking the bus after marrying him? No way. He pushed her disheveled hair from her face. "My love, henceforth, Asher and I will drop you off at your office every morning before we head over to the Fitzwilliam Group." Chelsea quickly protested as she said, "No, no, no. Please, hubby, I can't let you do that. Besides, Fitzwilliam Group is in the opposite direction from Maximilian Holdings. I can't let you go to work late because you have to drop me off at work." She didn't mind taking the bus. Besides that, Chelsea didn't want her colleagues gossiping about her when they saw Hank's luxurious car dropping her off. As she explained all these, she said, "Do you know that the last time you picked me up for dinner, there was a rumor going around the company that I was dating a sugar daddy?" When Hank heard this, his brows furrowed. "What? Who started such rumors? And why didn't you tell me?" Chelsea walked closer and held his hand. "Hubby, it doesn't matter, okay? Besides, you are not my sugar daddy but my sugar husband." Hank's angry face slightly relaxed as the corners of his lips curved upward after hearing Chelsea call him sugar husband. "Hubby," Chelsea gently called out, "please, can we not publicize our relationship for now?" Hank looked at Chelsea with an annoyed expression and asked, "Are you ashamed of being seen with me in public?" Chelsea quickly refuted and responded, "No, honey. Please don't misunderstand me. I am so proud that I am your wife. I wouldn't trade you for anything." She had overheard Hank talking to Gina the other day. She remembered hearing him saying now that she was his wife, he could easily be targeted by his enemies. Chelsea didn't want to be his Achilles heel. She didn't want to be the reason why his enemies would be able to get to him. Chelsea bent her head as she spoke. Hank had misunderstood her completely. He saw that he had jumped to a conclusion without hearing her reason. He lifted Chelsea's chin and said hoarsely, "Baby, I am sorry for raising my voice at you, okay? You don't have to think about that. I will protect you from anything and anyone. You are my responsibility now." He took a deep breath and continued, "If you want us to keep our marriage low-key, I will do that. So please don't be sad." Chelsea nodded as he spoke. "So, at least let us drop you off today, then tomorrow you can choose any car of your choice and I will get that for you so that you can drive yourself to work. Is that a deal?" Chelsea was smiling like a baby who had seen its mom. She hugged Hank and rushed into the bathroom for a quick shower. Back at Maximilian Holdings, Cleopatra and Erica were already in the office when Chelsea got in. "Hey, Chelsea. Good morning. How did you enjoy your long weekend? The director told us on Thursday that you had taken a 2-day leave." Since Chelsea started working with Maximilian Holdings, everyone had taken at least 3 holiday breaks, but she had never taken any except for the time she was hospitalized. "Hope all is well. I hope you weren't sick or something," Erica asked. Chelsea looked at her teammates and just smiled. Although they were chatterboxes, they actually cared about her well-being. "Hello, Erica and Cleo. I am fine. It's just that I had something important to do. That's why I had to ask for a 2 days leave." Cleopatra, who always noticed the slightest change in her environment, said mischievously. "My oh my. Chelsea, did your little break have anything to do with this?" She walked closer and held Chelsea's left hand and pointed at the beautiful rock that was on her finger. Chelsea subconsciously pulled her hand from Cleopatra. She had forgotten to take off her ring. Chelsea looked left and right to make sure that no one heard what Cleopatra said. Thank God it was still early and no member of Team A was present. "Come on, Cleo, reduce your voice, okay?" Chelsea knew she could not hide it anymore. She cleared her throat and said quietly, "Girls!" "Yes. This is the reason why I wasn't at work on Thursday and Friday. I got married last Friday. Please, can you both just keep it a secret for now? I don't want anyone finding out, okay?" Cleopatra and Erica were truly happy for Chelsea. As much as they were gossip mongers, when it came to their friends, they were so loyal. They promised to zip their mouths. The office had been busy as usual. Everyone was concentrating on their work when Cassandra Miles walked in with excitement in her voice. "Hey guys, did you all notice the hot hunk who has just been transferred to the marketing department? The guy is so hot. I hope he will notice me. I will make sure to sit by him during lunch." Chelsea was not interested in the gossip and just focused on her work. It was lunchtime and both teams had gone to the staff canteen to eat. As Chelsea and her teammates were seated, someone walked up to Chelsea and said, surprisingly, "Chelsea, is it really you?" When Chelsea raised her head to see who it was Travis. "Travis, what are you doing here?" Travis gave his killer smile, which captured the hearts of almost all the ladies in the hall. He told Chelsea he was recently transferred to Maximilian Holdings, and he worked with the marketing department. Chelsea smiled back and responded, "Oh, I see. You are the new employee from marketing that everyone is talking about." "I work with PR." Travis just nodded and asked if he could join them at their table. He was new there and had no friends. Chelsea smiled and said, "Sure, Travis. You can join us. These are my teammates, Erica, Cleopatra, and Ruben." Travis greeted them and introduced himself. "Hello, everyone. I am Travis Bennett." Randy had actually changed his name to Travis Bennett in order to gain access to Maximilian Holdings. He used his middle name, Travis, and his mother's last name, Bennett. Just like Hank, Randy was mostly known by name only. Even Daniel didn't know him physically, so he had gained access to work at Maximilian Holdings just to be closer to Chelsea. Randy knew so many mafia and cartel bosses who could easily get him a job at Maximilian Holdings. Cleopatra was the first to speak. She cleared her throat and said, "Hello, Travis. It's nice meeting you too." She turned to Chelsea and asked, "Chelsea, how do you know Mr. Bennett?" Chelsea, who was concentrating on her lunch, replied, "Well, we are actually neighbors." Cleopatra gave a mischievous smile. "Wow, that's really incredible." All through, Travis' eyes didn't leave Chelsea. His gaze was focused on her. Meanwhile, the whole cafeteria was in chaos. The girls from different departments, mostly those from marketing, were throwing darts with their eyes at Chelsea. One of the girls said annoyingly. That stupid Chelsea from PR. Who does she think she is to attract Travis' attention? Since last week, I have tried everything possible to get his attention, but he didn't even bat an eye. Another girl said condescendingly. It is no surprise. I heard that stupid girl called Chelsea was a call girl back in Wolverton. I even heard she was ditched by her ex-boyfriend because she was caught coming out of a club in the hands of another man. How pathetic. Now she has brought her lecherous behavior here. Do you know she is dating a sugar daddy? I wonder why Mr. Maximilian employed her here. Or do you think she seduced him too? All along as they berated Chelsea, Cleopatra couldn't stand them talking down on Chelsea. She stood up like a wounded tigress and matched over where the girls were sitting. She looked at the girls from head to toe and said sarcastically, "You are all here talking down on someone whom you wish you were her. At least Chelsea is beautiful, smart, and attracts handsome men. What about you? You look like a burnt offering." The angry Cleopatra turned to the second girl who had insulted Chelsea. "And you? How will any man find you attractive? Instead, for you to fix your face that looks like a shoehorn, you are here being jealous and envious. The next time you talk about my friend like that, I will make sure I plaster those cracked lips of yours with hot cement." She sneered and walked back to her seat. Wait. What? The girls were stunned. They were so embarrassed because everyone started laughing and making fun of them. They could not stand the shame and left the canteen. When Cleopatra returned to her seat, Chelsea held her hand and said, "Come on, Cleo. You didn't have to get involved. Now you will gain unnecessary enemies because of me." Cleopatra scoffed and replied, "Chelsea, we know you aren't what they say you are. We know you better than they do. So they have no right to say all those nasty things about you. As for them hating me, girl, do I look like I care? They don't pay my bills nor feed me. So they could hate me for all I care." Chelsea smiled. "Thank you for standing up for me, Cleo." Cleo just smiled and they finished their lunch. It was the next day and Chelsea had gone to the office as usual. For some strange reason, Nicole wasn't at work. Suddenly, Amelia Johnson, the PR head of department, walked in. "Miss Powers, I just received a message from Mr. Maximilian that you should take these documents to the Fitzwilliam Group. Since Nicole called in sick and is usually the one who goes over to the Fitzwilliam Group, you should take her place and deliver these documents to Mr. Fitzwilliam himself." Cassandra Miles, who was on Nicole's team, stood up and said, "But Miss Johnson, if Nicole isn't around, I should be the one going. We have been working on this project together. Chelsea wasn't part of it." Amelia Johnson looked at Cassandra with a dead stare and asked Cassandra who she thought she was. She was in no place to dictate what should and shouldn't be done. Mr. Maximilian had instructed Chelsea to deliver the files and not her. Cassandra's face turned pale. She didn't want to get herself in trouble. She just swallowed the remaining words and didn't utter another word. Mrs. Johnson turned to Chelsea and said, "Miss Powers, make sure you give them personally to Mr. Fitzwilliam." Chelsea nodded and said she would do that right away. Chelsea knew that this was no coincidence. Hank must have purposefully asked Daniel to send her over to the Fitzwilliam Group. She just smiled and shook her head. As Chelsea was preparing to leave, Cassandra sent a quick message to Nicole. "Nicole, where are you? And why didn't you come to work today?" Mr. Maximilian asked for some documents to be given to Mr. Fitzwilliam directly. Since you weren't around, Chelsea was asked to go. Nicole was sitting in her apartment watching a movie. She had deliberately not gone to work because she was planning to stalk Hank after work, to talk to him. Her obsession with Hank was on another level. When she saw Cassandra's message, she cursed under her breath. "Damn it. Just when I decided not to go to work, Mr. Maximilian sends someone from my department to the Fitzwilliam Group. I will not let that stupid girl have access to my man." She rushed in and changed into something befitting. She drove her car like a madwoman to the Fitzwilliam Group. Chelsea arrived at the Fitzwilliam Group at 11 a.m. She walked over to the receptionist and smiled. "Greetings. My name is Chelsea Powers and I have an appointment with the CEO." The receptionist looked at her computer and saw that Chelsea actually had an appointment. She smiled and said sweetly, "Yes, Miss Powers. Please, you will take the elevator to the 55th floor." Chelsea thanked the receptionist. As she was about to take a step, Nicole walked over, breathing heavily as if she had been running a marathon. "Chelsea, how could you leave without me? Didn't Mrs. Johnson say we were going together?" Chelsea was stunned. "Nicole, what are you doing here? Mrs. Johnson said you weren't feeling so well." Before Chelsea could say more, Nicole spoke authoritatively. "Let's go. We shouldn't keep Mr. Fitzwilliam waiting." She walked across the lobby as if she owned the building. Chelsea just shook her head because she knew the embarrassment Nicole was going to get from Hank. Chelsea and Nicole were walking over to the elevator. Chelsea asked Nicole, "Nicole, why are you here? Do you know that this might put Mrs. Johnson in trouble? I heard Mr. Fitzwilliam is a no-nonsense man and doesn't like uninvited guests." Cole looked at Chelsea and snorted. "Chelsea, you think too highly of yourself. Remember, Mr. Fitzwilliam and I are close enough, so you don't have to worry about me. Let me get there and handle everything myself. You just stand back and watch." Cole knew that once she got there and Hank saw her, he would have a soft spot for her after giving him back his cufflink. What a joke, Chelsea thought to herself. Chelsea, on the other hand, knew exactly what awaited Nicole. She knew that Nicole would either be embarrassed or dragged out of the Fitzwilliam Group like an unwanted sack of potato. She just smiled, ready to watch the show which was about to unfold. She followed Nicole and said nothing. When they got to the 55th floor, there were about 3 tables with 3 different secretaries. They walked over to the secretary whose name was Beatrice. The secretary looked at Chelsea disgustingly and asked, "What or whom are you looking for, miss?" Chelsea, with a smile, replied, "Good morning. My name is Chelsea Fitz." She quickly realized herself and stopped before blurting out the name Fitzwilliam. She cleared her throat and continued, "I mean Chelsea Powers. I am coming from Maximilian Holdings. I have an appointment with the CEO at 11 a.m. The secretary looked at Chelsea from head to toe and laughed out loud as if she had heard the funniest joke ever. "Miss, but our CEO doesn't meet just anyone." She told Chelsea that on her calendar, the CEO didn't have any appointment at that time. "By the way, how did you get to this floor? Who gave you the permission to come here? I will make sure that the receptionist downstairs is punished for this." With a shocked expression, Chelsea insisted, "But I was asked to come over at 11 a.m. Why don't you double-check your calendar?" Chelsea was still trying to be nice after all the insults the secretary laid on her. The secretary didn't like Chelsea's guts. When she saw Nicole standing behind Chelsea, she gave a sarcastic laughter. "So little Miss Liar. You have come along with your co-liar. What was wrong with some of these people?" Beatrice didn't understand why Mr. Daniel Maximilian would employ liars like Nicole. She sighed and looked at them like some stray hungry cats. Beatrice didn't deem them worthy enough to just waltz their way in to see Hank without an appointment. Cole's heart was beaming with joy. She was so happy that the secretary was telling Chelsea off and giving her all the rude insults one could think of. With a condescending expression, the secretary looked at Chelsea. "Look here, little Miss Wannabe. I know people like you who try so hard to forcefully wiggle their way into our CEO's heart and then into his bed. Listen to me, my dear. It will get you nowhere." She looked at Nicole and laughed. "I am sure your friend here can best explain it to you. She tried it the last time and it didn't go well with her." Cole stood there looking like a complete idiot. She didn't know whether she should laugh or cry. She thought it was all about Chelsea. Why did this silly secretary bring her into this? Chelsea discovered that she had been bluffing all this while about Hank. She would be in deep trouble. She wouldn't know where to hide her shame if everyone knew. Before Nicole could say anything, the secretary chimed in. Listen to me, both of you. Before I call on security to kick you out, why don't you carry your sorry-looking selves and leave? Chelsea was perplexed. She didn't know how to react. She stood there looking speechless. But why was this secretary so rude and insulting towards her? She had never met her before. No one had insulted her like this in a very long time. The secretary called for security to come kick Chelsea and Nicole out. Chelsea was already angry. She couldn't let anyone disrespect her in such a manner, most especially in her husband's office. If and only if this secretary knew that the person she was seriously berating and insulting was no other than Mrs. Fitzwilliam. Chelsea looked at the secretary and spoke bitterly. Miss, I don't know why you are being so rude towards me. Like I said earlier on, I am here to see Hank. If you don't let me in, your job will be on the line. Don't let me call him. I am giving you the last chance. The secretary laughed hysterically as if this was the funniest thing she had ever heard. You even have the temerity to call our CEO by his first name? If you had his number, why haven't you called him yet? What is so great about you anyway? And what makes you think our CEO will want to see a girl like you? A cold and dangerous voice came from the side. Then should I see a girl like you? The secretary knew exactly who owned the voice. She could feel chills running through her entire body. The temperature that was normal suddenly dropped to below 0. The air around Hank could freeze the entire office. Before the secretary could say anything, Hank butted in. We don't insult nor berate our guests in this office. The secretary was shaking like a rain-soaked chicken. But Mr. Fitzwilliam, she came here without an appointment and wanted to see you. So I had to stop her. Hank had a blazing look in his eyes. Is that the reason why you kept insulting my guest? Gina, why isn't Chelsea's name on the appointment list? Gina could feel the blazing inferno coming from Hank's words. I am sorry, boss. But it is right there. She showed her iPad to Hank. The secretary had been so carried away with envy that she didn't look properly. She had actually embarrassed Chelsea for no good reason. She knew that this time around she was done for. She was totally and completely finished. Hank turned to Gina, who was standing beside him, and said coldly, Make sure she doesn't return to this office tomorrow, and ensure that no major company should be able to hire her. The secretary collapsed on her chair. She suddenly felt like she couldn't breathe. Please, Mr. Fitzwilliam. I am sorry. I didn't know she was your honored guest. Miss Powers, I am so sorry. Beatrice tried her best to explain and beg, but she was pulled out of the office by the security she had called. Hank walked over to Chelsea and asked tenderly, Are you okay? Chelsea just nodded. Yes, Mr. Fitzwilliam. I am fine. Hank's brows furrowed when he heard Chelsea calling him Mr. Fitzwilliam. But he soon relaxed his face because they had agreed they would keep their relationship private for the time being. Okay. Please let's head over to my office. I have been expecting you. Before they could take a step, Nicole called out. Mr. Fitzwilliam, greetings. Hank turned to see who had called his name. Do I know you? Nicole's face turned pale. She was mortified. She felt as if the ground should just open up and swallow her. She cleared her throat and tried to act professionally. Mr. Fitzwilliam, don't you remember me? I am Nicole Brown, the lady who brought your cufflinks some days back and you bought me dinner. Hank looked at her coldly. I don't remember asking you to come here. Chelsea was trying so hard not to laugh. She knew this was going to happen. Oh, Hank, you are truly ruthless, Chelsea mumbled to herself. Hank turned to Gina with a stern expression. Make sure you escort this so-called Miss Brown out of here. And I don't want to be disturbed. He turned back to Chelsea and his cold expression turned to a gentle one. I am sorry for all the inconvenience. Please let's go. He placed his hand on Chelsea's shoulder as he ushered her into his office. Cole stood there, rooted like a locust tree. What was going on? And why was Hank so gentle and friendly towards Chelsea? These were some of the many questions that were running through Nicole's mind. Nicole couldn't handle it. She matched forward and held Hank's hand. But Mr. Fitzwilliam, I came here with Chelsea. You can't take her inside and leave me here all alone. Nicole was now acting desperate. Hank had never liked it when anyone touched him except for his wife. He looked at Nicole with eyes that could kill. He didn't say anything, but Gina understood his unspoken words. She quickly seized Nicole by the hand and pulled her away from Hank. Nicole was bundled out of the Fitzwilliam group like a criminal who had been caught red-handed. As she was tossed outside like a rag doll, Gina said coldly, Miss Brown, you have been banned from ever stepping foot on the Fitzwilliam group premises. Now leave before I do something way worse. Meanwhile, Hank's office was in total chaos. News had traveled far between the secretaries and other departments. They were naturally bound to be assumptions about any woman who went up to Hank's office. Hank had about 3 different secretaries. They started gossiping among themselves. Was that Mr. Fitzwilliam's woman? But they had never seen any woman going to his office before. The way Hank was tender with Chelsea made them question who she truly was to him. Another secretary chimed in. But she looks really beautiful and has a great figure. But her clothes look cheap and less fashionable. I don't think Mr. Fitzwilliam will have anything to do with such a low-class lady. Maybe she is just an errand girl or one of his charity cases. The gossiping girls didn't realize that Gina was standing right behind them. Is that what you are being paid here to do? Listen, all of you. Miss Powers is Mr. Fitzwilliam's special guest. And speaking ill of her will not be tolerated. Now, if you don't want the same fate as Beatrice, you had better learn to mind your business and respect Miss Powers. Henceforth, Miss Powers can walk in here at any time and should be allowed to see the CEO. Am I clear? All the secretaries, who were shivering from fear, answered unanimously. Yes, Miss Gina. Meanwhile, back in Hank's office, Hank was holding Chelsea in his arms. I am so sorry, baby. I should have come out earlier. I will make sure that lady regrets ever insulting you like that. Chelsea buried her face in his chest and said softly, It's okay, hubby. I am here now. Hank smiled at how lovely and tender his wife was. They disengaged from the hug and Chelsea looked at Hank mischievously. Hubby, I know you didn't bring me here just to deliver these documents. If you needed them, Daniel would have just faxed them or emailed them to you. So tell me the real reason why you brought me here. Corners of Hank's mouth curved up in a smile as he walked over and sat on his chair. Touché, Hank murmured. You are right, my treasure. You have never been to my office before. So I just wanted you to visit my office. And secondly, I missed you so much and wanted to see you. Chelsea walked over and sat on Hank's lap. So you couldn't wait to see me at home? Hank pulled Chelsea towards him and kissed her lips passionately. No, my dear wifey. I just needed to see you. I wanted to come to your office, but that killjoy called Daniel said I wasn't welcomed because he was leaving for a meeting. So I had to make you come here. Chelsea couldn't help but be amazed at her husband. He was acting so childish, but it was cute. Fine. Here I am. Are you satisfied seeing me? Chelsea asked. Hank didn't respond and started planting butterfly kisses on her neck. Chelsea's whole body was already turned on. Took her entire willpower to ask Hank to stop. With a voice that sounded like a whisper, Chelsea said, Hubby, please stop. This is your office. We can't do this here. What if someone walks in on us? Hank looked at Chelsea lustfully. Don't worry, baby. No one will disturb us. He took out his phone and dialed Gina. When Gina answered the call, Hank spoke categorically. "Gina, I don't want to be disturbed. No one should come into my office." He ended the call and looked at Chelsea. "Better." Chelsea couldn't believe how shameless her husband was. He pulled Chelsea's head down and continued kissing her passionately. Before Chelsea could realize it, Hank had carried her in a bridal style into the next room. Hank's office had another room inside which had a bed, a bathroom, and a closet. After spending an hour immersed in their passion, Hank finally let go of his wife. They just laid down in each other's arms as Chelsea couldn't help but laugh at herself. "I can't believe I came here to deliver some documents, and I ended up sleeping with my boss's boss." Hank smiled at his wife's cheekiness. "Your boss's boss who turns out to be your husband." Chelsea sat up and wrapped herself with a sheet. "I have to get ready and go back to the office." Hank looked at his beautiful wife and couldn't help but smile. Even in her disheveled state, she was still very beautiful. Her hazel eyes were like the light that brightened every room she walked into. "You are so beautiful, baby. I don't know how I got so lucky." Hank stood up and walked towards Chelsea. "Come on, Hank. Put on your brief. You can't be walking around naked. This isn't our home. This is your office, for Christ's sake," Chelsea snapped as her whole face was as red as a cooked shrimp. How did Hank expect Chelsea to look away when he was looking so deliciously handsome? Chelsea just bit her lower lip as she admired God's perfect creation. Hank knew this would have an effect on Chelsea, and he was enjoying seeing her blush like an overripe tomato. He picked up one of the blankets and tied it around his waist. "Okay then, baby. Why don't you clean up and dress up? Let's have lunch together." Chelsea was starving. She had to quickly clean up. Hank's office was like some sort of mini home. The bathroom in his office had all the essentials Chelsea needed, from hairbrushes, shampoos, and to anything she needed. She popped her head out through the bathroom door and asked Hank, "Honey, how come you have every essential that I will need in your office? Did you bring someone else here?" Hank, who was sitting on the bed, raised his eyebrows and gave Chelsea a sardonic look. "So, Mrs. Fitzwilliam, do you think I ever brought someone else here? Sorry to burst your bubbles, my darling wife, but you are the only woman I have ever brought into this room. I had earlier on asked Gina to stock up this place with female essentials because I knew you would come here sometime in the future, and this was bound to happen. You know I can't resist devouring you anytime I see you." He gave a little mischievous wink. Chelsea was speechless. She knew her husband was shameless, but this was on another level. "Geez, you are truly shameless," Chelsea retorted. "As long as I am shameless with you, I don't mind," Hank fired back. Chelsea knew she could not win this argument with Hank. She just shook her head like a tired mother and went on to brush her messed-up hair. Meanwhile, Nicole was still standing outside the Fitzwilliam building. She couldn't comprehend what had just happened. Why did Hank act as if he didn't know her? And why was he so gentle with Chelsea? Damn you, Chelsea. You always try to take everything that belongs to me. Can't let you have Hank. I will do whatever it takes to make sure you are out of the picture." She clenched her fists as she could Chelsea out. What will Nicole do when she finds out that the man she is dreaming about is actually married to the woman she hates the most? To know what happens next on the series, keep listening to your favorite story, Unappreciated Treasure, as a new episode will be coming soon. Thank you for listening, and toodles.